It's my privilege, as far as the ACC Success program, to introduce Paul Taylor. As with any business, basically our point is to solve other people's problems. And certainly I think Paul in 1995 realized that he could start a business that basically did that. And he can tell you a little bit about that, about solving other people's problems. Subsequently came up with the name Environmental Solutions and Services, which is a mouthful. I now like the name of his company, ESS. I can remember that. So at this point, if we can show our appreciation to have Paul come in this afternoon and talk to us.
Thank you. As Mark said, I'm Paul Taylor, and I'll have to say that when I was a 12-year-old growing up, it was not my dream to become a professional toilet cleaner. But that's what I've ended up doing, and I'm very happy with where I'm at. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about what it took to get here. And so I started ESS Clean with a partner. Actually, it was Environmental Solutions and Services back in 1995. Had graduated from the U of I with a degree in agricultural engineering, if you can believe that. Went to work for a startup company, and after less than a year, this startup company ran out of money, and so I was jobless, and I was had just gotten married. So my wife was counting on me for to help provide, and what ended up happening is she provided for me for the first few years as we got started, but. I met a guy who actually had this idea, it was not my idea, to start a business to provide cleaner, safer, healthier commercial buildings in central Illinois. And through that, do that through indoor air quality evaluations, duct cleaning, and janitorial. And so we started out together with great ideas. We spent money. We had a nice office, and we had no customers. We started to get a few sporadic customers here and there, and but we spent more money than we had. And after about a year, we were in debt up to our ears. My partner was gone a lot. We weren't getting along, and you may have heard people say that the only kind of ship that won't sail is a partnership. And in this case, that was true. I don't think that's always true, but in this case, that was true. So I went to my partner. I said, this isn't working. We're $40,000 in debt. I'm scared. I'm not supporting my wife. I'm in debt personally, and I got to do something different. This is not going to work together. So I offered him the opportunity to take the company and take the debt, and I would walk away. Or that I would take the company, take the debt, pay him for his portion of the company, and that's what he chose to do. So he walked away at that point in 1997. And as I said, we had bought a lot of stuff. We had a nice office that we were working out of, and at that time my main goal was, how are we going to get out of debt? Because this is a scary time. I mean, a young guy out of college, $40,000 in debt. The collectors are starting to call. And so the first thing I did is I just started downsizing. And we had a few cleaning contracts at the time. And when I say cleaning contracts, what I'm talking about is what we do is we go in after hours or before hours, office building, medical buildings, banks, schools, factories, and we clean their offices. We dump their trash, we clean their toilets, we clean desktops and dust and do all that stuff. And we had some people doing that at the time, and so I had to let them go, and so I started doing it myself. So at that time I started building this humility muscle. And so I was cleaning, one of our first accounts was the Daily Illini, and so I'd go in at 3 o'clock in the morning and I'd clean up after college students who I had just graduated from college. So it was definitely developed some humility at that time. Decided to get out of the duct cleaning business and the indoor air quality business because this market just wasn't supporting all the equipment that we had. So sold all that equipment, decided to just focus on janitorial. And so we became a janitorial company, and I became the #1 employee. And so cleaned a couple buildings every morning. I'd go into work after cleaning buildings and just spend all day marketing, selling, sending out letters, making phone calls, walking door to door. And, you know, this is a hard thing to do. A lot of people will tell you that it's easy to do sales, but it's not easy. You have to get yourself up for it, and you can only do it so much. So did that for a while, cleaning buildings during the day, got out of the duct cleaning business, and with the focus on janitorial, it was about a year later that we started to actually get some big contracts. And that was a break for us when we got our first big name contract that became a reference for us that we could start to grow from. And that's when we could actually start hiring some people to do the work, and I could start moving out of doing the cleaning myself. So that was 97, 98, we got a big contract. At that point, we really started to grow. And it was about 2 years later that we finally became debt-free. It was 2001. We paid off our last bill, and it was a check that I wrote out to Ford Motor Credit Company for a 2001 Ford cargo van. I can remember it because we still have that van. And from that moment on, we were debt-free, and we've stayed debt-free ever since. And that's been an important thing for us to do. It's been part of our culture. So a couple of other milestones that have happened since then. As we continued to grow, we had to make some key hires. In 1999, it got to be too much where I couldn't keep everything up in the office all day and do all the supervising at night, so I hired an operations manager. He's still with us today as our operations manager. It was 2003 that we had to hire a human resources manager. We were up to over 100 employees, and I couldn't do all the hiring and the interviews and all that anymore, so we had to hire a human resources manager. It was a couple years later that we hired an accountant. I was doing all the taxes, all the payroll, all that stuff, and so we had to hire an accountant to take that part over. And each one of these people that we've hired, we hired an operations manager who was way better at operations and smarter at operations than I was. We hired an HR manager that was a way better human resources manager than I was and did a much better job hiring people. Hired an accountant that actually knew how to do accounting. That's kind of important. Although I am very proud that we got audited by the IRS and we got a clean slate, so very proud of that. But I don't like to do accounting. So along the way, we've hired these key people. In 2004, we opened a branch office in Effingham, and this was an area that we were starting to grow in. We felt like we needed to have an actual physical presence there, and in order to be part of the community and continue to grow. So we opened a branch office. We kind of realized in the middle, around 2005, that maybe we were starting to be saturated. Our market was saturated in Champaign-Urbana. And what I mean by that is we had gotten a lot of the business in Champaign by that time. And everything that we were bidding on at that point, we were probably never going to get because either our bids were always too high and they always wanted the low bidder, or we just couldn't, felt like we couldn't work with that customer. So we had to start expanding out geographically. So we had the branch office in Effingham, and we decided in 2007 to open a branch office in Bloomington. And we actually had no customers at that time in Bloomington. We had no employees. We decided to make an investment, and pay the price for a couple of years while we built that up. So in 2007, we opened a branch office in Bloomington, and today we have about 40 people that work out of that office. And in 2011, we opened a branch office in Decatur, and we have about 15 people now that are working in Decatur. So that's kind of been our model for expansion. So again, we're a janitorial company. We clean office buildings after hours. We focus on 5-day-a-week accounts. So those types of offices that operate 5 days, we can come in after hours, Monday through Friday, and clean. We also will do some other stuff, some weekend stuff, some first shift, some third shift, but those are usually part of a larger contract, and they're outside of our focus, but we do those anyway. We also do some specialty work like window cleaning, hard floor care, carpet cleaning. We used to do snow removal, but we have expanded our services a little bit over the years. And as we've expanded geographically, obviously we've had more need for staff in our office to take care of that additional business. So that's kind of our story. So today we have about 300 people on staff. We have the Urbana office and 3 branch offices, and I wish I could say things are going well and smoothly, but things never go well and smoothly in business, and we've had many obstacles along the way. Mark asked me to talk about some of the key aspects to our success. So I want to talk about some of the things that I've learned, and I hope that many of you have aspirations to or already are in your own business, and maybe I can offer a little bit of advice that might help you in those areas. So, talk about a few key points here. So, sacrificing in the short term to reap benefits in the long term. Whenever you choose to do something big, something important, to move ahead, move one step ahead in your life, you're going to have to give up something else. For some of us, that might mean giving up TV so that we can spend more time working on our business. Usually it's more extensive than that. Sometimes it means giving up family time. Sometimes it means waiting and doing the right thing now so that you can build the foundation for the long term. And as you're building a business, the foundation is the most important part. And it's just like building a house. If you screw up the foundation in a house, you can't go back and fix it. So you have to spend the time and the effort in the beginning to do the things that will reap benefits in the long term. Persevere. So I happen to be a marathon runner, so this perseverance thing is kind of natural to me. Way back in 1998, I had a chiropractor. Don't give me a hard time. I had a chiropractor looked at my back, took an x-ray of my back, and said that for the rest of my life, I'd have to give up a lot of things that I love. No more golf, no more tennis, no more water skiing, no more snow skiing, and that I would need treatments twice a week for the rest of my life. There's some great chiropractors out there, but this one was wrong. And so I decided I was going to run a marathon because he said that I had to stop running. So I ran my first marathon in 1998 and have been doing that type of thing ever since. And in a marathon, you learn about perseverance because after about 16 miles, when you feel like crap and everything's breaking down, you have to figure out a way to get through it. And even today, after all the things that we've been through in business, we lost a customer at the beginning of this year that was 8.5% of our business. And that's significant. It might not sound like a lot, but that's a whole position, like a full-time position in our company, you know, an administrative position. Just the profits from that and the overhead to cover that. So that's a big deal. We have this health care bill that we have to figure out how to deal with. That we've got 300 employees and we have to figure out how all that's going to work. So we just keep busting through this stuff. We have to figure out a way, and there's no plan B, as we were just talking about a little while ago. If there is a plan B, then it's too easy to go back to that. So you have to learn how to get through no matter what, and sometimes it's hard. One of the things that's probably the most important thing as you have a company that's starting to grow is to get the right people. And if you're interested in reading books, Good to Great is a great book by Jim Collins. And he talks about getting the right people on the bus in the right seats. And when we're hiring people for key positions in our company, we might do 6 or 7 interviews. And I know that sounds really excessive, but if you get the wrong person on your team, it can set you back years. So it's really important to get the right people. Now, some people, even though you go through an extensive hiring process, some people still struggle. And when we have people that are struggling, we feel like it's our obligation to help restore that person. Now, that may mean that we did a lousy job of writing their job description. It may mean that we hired them into the wrong position. And it may mean that they need retraining. So we're going to look at all those avenues and try to restore that person and keep them in our company. And then sometimes we figure out we hired the wrong people. And then we get them out of our company as fast as we can, because they are poison and they will infect the rest of the people around them, and they'll take you down. So get the right people, get them doing the right things, and get rid of the wrong people. And once you have your team put together, you got to trust them to do the job. And don't get me wrong, we have policy manuals like you wouldn't believe. I mean, we just don't have a choice. We have to do that. We have to follow the law. And so we have policies for many different things that happen. But you cannot write a policy for everything. And so we have to put trust in people to do a good job. And we just have to let them free to do that. One of the things, you know, I kind of have this entrepreneurial spirit, and I hate policies. So when our HR manager comes up to me and wants a new policy, I always push back against that. And she's usually right, but I always push back against that, because I think when we make too many policies and too many rules, then we're not taking a little risk in putting that trust in our people, and I think that's very important. And financial discipline. Financial discipline is not that hard when you don't have any money. And if we go back to 1997 in our company and we're $40,000 in debt, I mean, we just didn't have a choice. Nobody was going to loan us any more money, and you know, we just didn't have the money to spend. But once you start to make some money, financial discipline becomes very important. And another book that I would recommend is The Millionaire Next Door by Tom Stanley. And in this book, he analyzes people who are millionaires. And what he discovered is that the people who are millionaires are not the people who you would think are millionaires. Typically, these people are not terribly high income people. The average millionaire makes $130,000 a year. The average millionaire has 3 kids. Not that that matters. The average millionaire drives a 2-year-old middle-of-the-line American car. The average millionaire has a house in an established neighborhood that's lower end. It's the lower end of an established neighborhood. So these are kind of things that are that might seem strange. That we think of the average millionaire as driving a Lexus or BMW. That's many times not the case. But the financial discipline is making the right choices after you start to make some income. And we've had lots of opportunities to go off into doing different things, trying new things, and most of the time we've rejected those because of the potential financial cost to that. So I would say financial discipline is one of the very most important things that you can do. And one of our values is operate debt-free. So we're just not going to borrow any money. Set goals and hold yourself accountable. This is on my mind this time of year because every year in November, December, we're setting goals. Our management team, myself, we're all working together and setting our goals. And it's a 1 or 2 month process. And if you don't have goals, you have nothing to shoot for. So if you don't have a target, you're never going to hit it. You have to have goals. You have to know where you want to be a year from now. Now, do we always attain our goals? No. But your goals should be specific. They should be measurable. You should own them. They should be yours. They shouldn't be set by somebody else. So that's very important. Set goals. And then hold yourself accountable. So the way I hold myself accountable is with my management team. Every month when we meet, we go through what my goals were for the year and how far I've made it into attaining those goals. Sometimes I don't hit them, and sometimes that's embarrassing, and sometimes it's because I didn't do my job very well, and I didn't focus on the right things. But they are holding me accountable. And then our managers also have to set goals, and then I hold them accountable, meeting with them and making sure that they're taking the right steps to attain those goals. And many people might set a goal like, I want to lose weight. To me, that's not a good goal. It's not measurable. It's not specific. It doesn't have a timeline. And so you have to have all those things, and then you have to have a plan for how you're going to achieve those goals. Life balance. The way I look at life balance is I think we're all physical, mental, and spiritual beings. And I look at it as like a three-legged stool. And if one of those legs is shorter than the other, you start to fall off. And so we have to keep these all in balance. If we have a physical problem, we're not taking care of ourselves, we feel sick all the time, it's going to affect every other area of our life. The spiritual thing, that's very important to me. I happen to have a strong faith, and that's an important part of my life, so I read the Bible every day. I go to prayer groups, etc. And then mental. It's important to me to educate myself, and I don't go to school anymore. I actually hated college. I was ready to get out. Like when I graduated, I was done. But I love education. I love to read things. And so my goal, and I keep up with this one for the most part, is to read a nonfiction book every month. And this keeps me fresh mentally. So all those things kind of work together, and you have to keep those in balance. We also have to keep our priorities in balance. For me, my priorities in order are faith, family, and work. And I think these areas affect each other. If I'm having a bad day at work, I tend to take it home. And as much as we try to separate those things, we can't. If my family life is not going well, then it affects my work. And so we have to focus and spend time on all these areas of our life. Values and principles. I'm going to go back to the talking about the foundation for your business. you guys have probably already all talked about mission statements. You've talked about vision statements and these other things. Every company has to have these. We've tried all those things. The one thing that stuck with us is about 6 or 7 years ago, we wrote down our values. We didn't really come up with these as much as we just wrote them down because they were already a part of us. And this is our company values. Our honesty, always get the job done, provide the best value, improve the lives of our team, have fun, and operate debt-free. And by having these values, this is the foundation for everything that we do, every decision that we make in our company. It has to pass these values tests. And one thing this helps with a lot is a lot of times people don't have to come to me to help make a decision anymore. Is they just go to the values and they know if it fits in these values that it's going to work for us and for our company. So honesty, we just don't tolerate dishonesty in our company. If somebody's lying, then we have to figure out a way to get them off of our team. Always get the job done. That speaks for itself. We're in the service business. We're in Illinois. We have snowstorms. People call in sick. All kinds of things happen. It doesn't matter. We're going to get the job done. Provide the best value. We are not the cheapest company in town, and we're usually more expensive than our competitors. But we provide value. We take care of the job from start to finish. We provide turnkey solutions, and our customers don't have to worry about their building being clean. They can focus on their core business. Improve the lives of our team. It's essential to us that anybody that comes to work for us, if they work for us for 3 days or 3 months or 3 years, that during that time they have become a better person. And we try to help them achieve that. We offer scholarships for our people. We have classes on personal finance. And sometimes people just come to us and they work for 3 months and they pay off a credit card bill and they move on. And that's okay. They've improved their life by paying off their credit card bill. Have fun. I mean, isn't the most important thing in life to enjoy what we're doing? We expect people to have fun when they come to work for us. And I know when you think of cleaning toilets, maybe that's not so much fun. But we figure out a way to make it fun. And most of all, we expect people to have a good attitude, whatever they're doing. And if we have people that have a bad attitude, we encourage them to go to work for our competitors. Operate debt-free. Again, we've been in debt, we've done that, we've seen that, we've been there. We don't want to go back. We're not going to take that risk anymore. And it has hurt some of our opportunities sometimes because we're not going to go take a bank loan so that we can expand into a new area and grow at 30% instead of 20%. But it's a decision that we've made, and what this does for me is it allows me to go to sleep each night, and there's not a night that I stay up that I am awake for more than 5 minutes after my head hits the pillow. It's just a sense of security. We don't have to worry about how to make payroll each month, and we're just going to continue to live that way. So that's all I have, and I'd love to answer any questions that you might have.
I have one.
Yes, sir.
You said on the new health bill deal, how much is that financially going to impact your company? You say you have roughly 300 employees.
Mm-hmm. So we have about 60 to 70 full-time employees, and those are the ones that it's going to impact. We have some people that are between 30 and 40 hours a week. So one thing that we're going to do is we're going to move everybody out of that category. So they're either part-time or full-time. So some people there's going to be a few people that get less hours, but it's a very small percentage. The full-time people, we're already providing, we offer health insurance for our full-time people. And our insurance is a qualifying plan, but what's going to happen is when people are required to have health insurance or get penalized, we're going to have more people on our plan, which is going to cost us more money, and we have to figure out a way to pass that on to our customers. So it's going to be, our expenses are going to go up. I think that because we set our company up to offer health insurance from the beginning, that it's not going to hurt us as bad as a lot of our competitors, but it's still a struggle. And there's a lot of administration that has to take place to comply with all the rules and regulations. It's 2,500 pages, and I'm not going to try to read it, but we got to comply. So, yes?
Who did you sit down with to decide what your values and principles were going to be?
Well,
Your support group? Or?
yeah. So we have what we call our executive team, and that could be anything for any company. For us, it's myself, our operations manager, our HR manager, and our branch managers. And these are the key decision makers in our company. And we went to a 2-day seminar. It was called The Rockefeller Habits. That's another good book, The Rockefeller Habits by Vern Harnish. And they took us through all kinds of things, 5-year and 10-year goal planning cycles. But the one thing that we took out of that was the values. So we came up with it in a couple of days, and it wasn't that hard. It's really there already. It's there in the people and the leadership of the company, and you just have to figure out what they are and write them down. Yes, sir.
You said you had a partner in the beginning.
Yeah.
When you guys first started out your business, did you guys just plan and took out a loan, or did you guys have money to put in towards the business?
Both. But mostly he had some money. I had a little bit, and then we took out some loans. I would not recommend that. I would not recommend a partnership. It was very painful. It was very painful, and it's like a divorce. I wouldn't want to go through that again. Yes, sir.
What was the root cause why you lost that big customer? Was it something you guys did and you could have done better, or was it?
No, it was. Well, I'll tell you, it was Ameren Power Company, and they're based in St. Louis. There's a big contract, multiple buildings, and they took it out to bid nationally. And we were doing a region for them, and they have like 6 regions, and they put all 6 regions out to bid nationally. So there was a dozen national companies bidding on it. Our price wasn't low enough. They took the low bid. So they gave us an opportunity to come back and lower our price, and we wouldn't do it. It was too low. So that happens. Mark.
Question, any startup business, how important is an advisory board or even establishing some type of board of directors to get you started?
I think we all need guidance, especially us people who are young, but probably everybody needs guidance. And I have a advisory board or council, and several people that I know from the community. Actually, my dad is on the advisory board too. And we get together a couple times a year, and I put in front of them, basically I report to them too. I put out all the challenges that we're having, what our goals are, how far we came in the last year's goals, and they chew me up and spit me out. I mean, that's what I ask them to do. They're helping me. It hurts sometimes, but they're helping me. So I think that's extremely important. It's too easy, and it goes back to the financial discipline thing too. It's too easy to just go out there and do whatever you want willy-nilly and get yourself in trouble. We need people to watch over us, to keep us disciplined, to report to hold us accountable.
So like on your selection of that, was it just kind of a networking, or how did you maybe got a retired business person that had that knowledge?
It was fairly random, but they were all people that I knew and trusted and shared the same values, and that was the most important. I mean, I happen to have on my board, I have a small business owner, I have a former bank CEO, I have former general manager of John Deere Harvester Works who moved back into the Champaign area and taught at the university for a while. So networking, getting some people that you know, and hopefully that you've known long enough or are part of a network that you know you can trust them and that that they share the same values.
Did you take advantage of any of the local area Chamber of Commerce organizations or Small Business Development Center or even Parkland College in our business training? I mean, do you use or have you used in the past?
So we are members of the Chamber of Commerce, and I think it's a very valuable organization. I did not do anything with Parkland. I didn't take any classes. I wish I would have. I actually never had a business or accounting class in my life. I've had to learn that all myself. And but I think the program that's going on here is fabulous. And if I'd have known Mark 15 years ago, I would have definitely taken his class.
How's managing the satellite businesses going? Is it hard to not be there every day? Or do you kind of deal with it through technology, or how do you do that?
That's a good question. So we kind of have a unique setup for our branch offices. Our branch managers are, I like to think they're like franchise owners. Their income is based, they do have a base salary, but mostly their income is based on the profitability of their branch. And so they're doing the sales for their branch. They're doing the hiring for their branch. They're signing the contracts for their branch. They're doing all that themselves. And we here in Urbana, myself and our HR manager and operations manager and accountant, we're all here to support them. So we do their payroll for them. We do all the time-consuming stuff for them. We help them with their hiring and their background checks and all that stuff. They'll call me sometimes to help with a bid or a sale that's a big one that they really want some advice on. But they run it themselves, and I mean it's taken years to get to that point, but that was the end goal, that these guys and our branch managers one's been with us for 5 years and one for 6 years. But that was the goal all along, is that they would operate independently, almost independently, after a couple of years of training. So I hardly ever go there, actually. James.
As the price of computers plummets, even the smallest business has access to some pretty advanced mathematical analysis and task automation abilities. Where do you see information technologies in your business going forward and other businesses?
Wow. James, we are low tech. But you know, technology. My answer to that is there's a lot of new fancy stuff out there, and we've been talking about getting iPads in our area managers' hands so that they can do inspections electronically and all that stuff. But I have to push back against that because it can be more complicated than what it's worth, and so. As far as technology goes, I usually will wait until enough people have screwed up trying to figure it out, and I'll buy in at the tail end of it. So, you know, the thing in our business, the big thing is now is using the tablets to do everything out in the field electronically, and we're looking at it. We're investigating it. We do have a very advanced software system that it manages all of our accounting and our general ledger, our payroll. We have telephone timekeeping, so our people clock in and out on the computer system. It does bidding, and all that is integrated into a software system that's very expensive, but it's worth it. As far as other technological advances, I don't know. You're probably smarter than I am in that regard, I'm sure. Yes, sir.
As a businessman and entrepreneur, how much, or I'll say what a chunk of your decisions are intertwined with your spirituality? Like how much does that influence you as a businessman? Because I know there's a line between your beliefs and also making wise business decisions for yourself and your employees. So how
There is,
how that?
sure, there is absolutely no conflict between the way I make decisions in business and my faith. And I hope that you can kind of see that here from our value system. But I mean, the book of Proverbs is one of the best business guides there is. So I've never run across a situation where there was a conflict.
Would you say that would you even say that your faith has somehow impacted some of your business decisions and stuff?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and I think, you know, we all watch too much TV. I mean, the business people that you see on TV, that's just fake. People, the business people that I see in Champaign-Urbana are honest people with integrity. They're not liars and cheats like you see on TV. It's just, I don't think, if that was true, what we saw on TV everywhere, we would not be the great country that we are.
Business ownership is a topic that all these students have studied. Are you a sole proprietor, or have you incorporated, and if so, why?
Sure. So we started as a C corporation, and you know, because we weren't really a partnership, but we were partners in the C corporation, and just felt like it was actually I didn't put any time into investigating what was the best way to do it. I took the advice of my partner, so that's where we went, and we're still a C corporation. There's some advantages and disadvantages to that. I think we probably would be better off if we were an S corporation, but it's actually not too bad. There's some advantages to being a C corporation too. I would not consider sole proprietorship. I mean, it's just too risky to go that route. Limited liability company, the LLC, maybe it's not very common for companies of our size to do that. For like a chiropractor office, I would recommend the LLC or partnership. James.
You have many things pulling at your attention all the time, you know, work stuff, family stuff. How do you carve out time to work on maybe side projects that aren't necessarily profitable, but are something you want to work on and could be profitable later?
Oh yeah, that's a really good question. It is hard. You do have to. We have an open door policy in our office, and my door's not always open. But I mean, anybody can come in anytime and talk to me, but I have to shut my door sometimes and focus on those things. And a lot of times what happens is you have to discipline yourself that when all your bids are done, and for me, when everything else is, all the urgent stuff is done, to make some time to do that long-term stuff, the long-term thinking and planning. And it's hard to get yourself to do that when it's not urgent. It's really hard because we all get sucked into the urgent stuff, the hundreds of emails a day and the phone calls and everything. But so, I mean, I'll go to the library for an afternoon once a month with the laptop and just think and read a few articles and set goals and brainstorm. And the meetings that we have with my executive team, the meetings that I have with my council, those are times for that too. Yes, sir.
Who've been some of your most important mentors throughout this process of starting up your company?
Yeah, so obviously I talked about some of the books that I've read, and there's valuable information in that. but I have, I would say my number one mentor is my dad. I have a great relationship with my dad, and then the guys on my council. I've had for the last 15 years, I've been meeting with the same guys for Bible study every Wednesday morning, and so those are guys that I trust and will. They'll help me struggle through some of the worst things that happen to us. Yes, sir.
Would you say your company, is your company involved in any social responsibility? Or do you say what you do now as part of that?
So I feel like our biggest social responsibility is to take care of our customers and to take care of our people working in our company. I mean, that's the great thing about business, is you can impact other people that way. We can have a great influence on the people that have come to work for us. We can take care of our customers so that they can cure cancer or do whatever the things are that they're doing. Outside of that, I feel like community involvement is really important. So we do quite a few things. Of course, we donate to several organizations, but every year we have a service project. A couple of years ago, we helped build a kitchen for Restoration Urban Ministries. This past year, we helped develop a community garden in Urbana in a low-income neighborhood. So yeah, those are very important, and I think it's good for our people too, and for myself to be involved in those types of things.
Any other questions?